Welcome back to learning about the zones of regulation with your OT friends. In this video, we are going to read a book together about Alexander and a day he's having. We're going to look at Alexander's body cues to see what zone he's in. So let's read together. Alexander and the terrible, horrible, no good, very bad day. I went to sleep with gum in my mouth, and now there's gum in my hair. And when I got out of bed this morning, I tripped on the skateboard, and by mistake, I dropped my sweater in the sink while the water was running. And I could tell it was going to be a terrible, horrible, no good, very bad day. Oh my goodness, Alexander has had quite the morning. Let's look at his body and his face and see about what zone he might be in. He seems pretty frustrated, don't you think? Look, his arms are crossed. He's got his mouth in a straight line, and his brow is furrowed. What zone do you think he's in? He's feeling very frustrated. At breakfast, Anthony found a Corvette Stingray car kit in his breakfast cereal box, and Nick found a junior undercover agent code ring in his breakfast cereal box. But in my breakfast cereal box, all I found was breakfast cereal. Let's look at these three boys. Alexander's brothers, Anthony and Nick, are so happy that they found toys in their breakfast cereal boxes. What zone do you think they're in? They're smiling and they're ready to play. Alexander is feeling pretty disappointed. He didn't get a toy in his breakfast cereal box. Let's look at his body. He's slouched over and his head is down on the table. He's holding his face and his eyes seem pretty sad. I think he's in the blue zone. He says, I think I'll move to Australia. Again, his body is telling us he's blue. He's got a sad mouth, and his eyes are looking sad too. His body is very slow. And it's okay that when you feel blue like this, you want to move to Australia. Sometimes when we feel blue, we just want to get out of here. And that's okay. In the carpool, Mrs. Gibson let Becky have a seat by the window. Audrey and Elliot got seats by the window too. I said I was being scrunched. I said I was being smushed. I said, if I don't get a seat by the window, I am going to be carsick. No one even answered. It looks like Alexander is moving through the zones. What zone do you think he's in now? Look at his face. It's all scrunched up. He's feeling pretty frustrated again, and no one is listening to him. I think he's entering the red zone. At school, Mrs. Dickens liked Paul's picture of the sailboat better than my picture of the invisible castle. At singing, she said I sang too loud. At counting time, she said I left out 16. Who needs 16? I could tell it was going to be a terrible, horrible, no good, very bad day. Now that Alexander is at school, let's look at his body and his face. In the car ride, he was in the red zone. But do you think he's still in the red zone? I don't know. He's got another frown. His eyebrows look like he's making a sad face. I think he's entering blue, like he was at breakfast. I could tell because Paul said I wasn't his best friend anymore. He said that Philip Parker was his best friend, and that Albert Moya was his next best friend, and that I was only his third best friend. I hope you sit on a tack, I said to Paul. I hope the next time you get a double-decker strawberry ice cream cone, the ice cream part falls off the cone part and lands in Australia. It looks like Alexander is in the red zone again, don't you think? He's yelling at his friend, and he is saying that he wants him to sit on a tack. My goodness, it's okay to get dysregulated like this, but it seems like Alexander is having some unexpected behaviors. What do you think Alexander could do to get back into the green zone? Let's see what else happens in Alexander's day. There were 2 cupcakes in Philip Parker's lunch bag, and Albert got a Hershey bar with almonds, and Paul's mother gave him a piece of jelly roll that had little coconut sprinkles on the top. Guess whose mother forgot to put in dessert? It was a terrible, horrible, no good, very bad day. Do you notice what Alexander's face is trying to tell us? He looks pretty sad again, don't you think? Pretty blue? I think so too. That's what it was. A very terrible day because after school, my mom took us all to the dentist, and Dr. Fields found a cavity in just me. Come back next week and I'll fix it, said Dr. Fields. Next week, I said, I'm going to Australia. On the way downstairs, the elevator door closed on my foot, and while we were waiting for my mom to go get the car, Anthony made me fall where it was muddy. And then I started crying because of the mud. Nick said I was a crybaby. And I am having a terrible, horrible, no good, very bad day. I told everybody. No one even answered. Let's look at Alexander's face and body cues again. He fell in the mud and he hurt his foot. He's feeling really dysregulated, don't you think? Poor guy. I hope we could figure out how to get him back into the green zone. So then we went to the shoe store to buy some sneakers. Anthony chose white ones with blue stripes. Nick chose red ones with white stripes. I chose blue ones with red stripes, but then the shoe man said we're all sold out. They made me buy plain old white ones, but they can't make me wear them. When we picked up my dad at his office, he said I couldn't play with his copying machine, but I forgot. He also said to watch out for the books on his desk, and I was careful as could be, except for my elbow. He also said, don't fool around with his phone, but I think I called Australia. My dad said, please don't pick him up anymore. It was a terrible, horrible, no good, very bad day. There were lima beans for dinner, and I hate lima beans. There was kissing on TV, and I hate kissing. Let's look at Alexander's face again. His tongue is out, and his eyes are all scrunched up. He is disgusted. What zone do you think he's in now? My bath was too hot. I got soap in my eyes, my marble went down the drain, and I had to wear my railroad train pajamas. I hate my railroad train pajamas. When I went to bed, Nick took back the pillow he said I could keep, and the Mickey Mouse nightlight burned out and I bit my tongue. The cat wants to sleep with Anthony, not with me. It has been a terrible, horrible, no good, very bad day. My mom says some days are like that, even in Australia. So, friends, it seemed like Alexander had a very big day and moved through all sorts of different zones. It's important for us to remember that that's totally normal because all of us, even adults, go through all 4 zones each and every day. Let's continue to remember how important it is to check in with our bodies from our heads to our toes about what it's telling us for the zones we are feeling.